Before 1971, Bangladesh used to be a part of Pakistan as East Pakistan. According to Najam Sethi, a well-respected and honored journalist from Pakistan, East Pakistan always complained that they received less development funds and less attention from the West Pakistan dominating government. Bengalis in East Pakistan also resisted the adoption of Urdu as a state language. The revenue from export, whether it was from the cotton of West Pakistan or jute of East Pakistan, was handled mainly by West Pakistan. Lastly, in an election conducted just some months before the war, the victory was gained by the East Pakistan leader, and still he was not given the power, thus fueling the movement in East Pakistan. India started receiving huge number of refugees which became unmanageable, pushing it to intervene in the situation. The situation soon attracted the attention of many other countries. Thus, the war later was not only between India and Pakistan, but many countries were involved in 1971 Indo-Pakistan War, directly or indirectly. In May, Indira Gandhi wrote to Nixon about the carnage in East Bengal and the flood of refugees burdening India. After L.K. Jha, the then Indian ambassador to US, had warned Kissinger that India might have to send back some of the refugees as guerrillas, Nixon commented, "By God, we will cut off economic aid to India." A few days later, when the US president said, "The goddamn Indians were preparing for another war," Kissinger retorted, "They are the most aggressive goddamn people around." US sympathized with Pakistan because of various reasons. Among them, two reasons were that, firstly, Pakistan belonged to American-led military pact CENTO and SEATO. Secondly, US believed any victory of India will be considered as the expansion of Soviet influence in the parts gained by India with the victory, as it was believed to be a pro-Soviet nation, even though they were non-aligned. US needed help from China, and the messenger was Pakistan. US approached China very secretly on this issue, who was more than welcoming as it believed that their relations with US could improve from this onward. During the second week of July 1971, Kissinger arrived in Beijing, where he heard the words by then Chinese Prime Minister Zhou Enlai. "In our opinion, if India continues on its present course in disregard of world opinion, it will continue to go on recklessly. We, however, support the stand of Pakistan. This is known to the world. If they, the Indians, are bent on provoking such a situation, then we cannot sit idly by." On this, Kissinger responded that China should know that the US also backs Pakistan on this issue. The CIA reported to the US President that Indian Prime Minister believes that the Chinese will never intervene militarily in North India, and thus any action from China would be a surprise for India, and Indian military might collapse in tense situation caused by fighting in 3 different fronts: East, North, and West. Hearing this on December 9th, Nixon decided to send the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise into the Bay of Bengal to threaten India. The plan was to surround India from all 4 sides and force them to retreat and leave East Pakistan. On December 10th, Nixon instructed Kissinger to ask the Chinese to move some troops towards the Indian frontier. "Threaten to move forces or move them, Henry. That's what they must do now." China feared any action on India might attract Soviet aggression. At this, US assured China that any action taken by Soviet Union will be countered by US to protect China. Soviet Union or Russian role in the Indo-Pakistan 1971 war. As India had decided to go on with the war, and Indira Gandhi had failed to gain American support and sympathy for the Bengalis who were being tortured in East Pakistan, she finally took a hard move and on August 9th signed a treaty of peace, friendship, and cooperation with Soviet Union. The State Department historian says, "In the perspective of Washington, the crisis ratcheted up a dangerous notch. India and the Soviet Union have signed a treaty of peace, friendship, and cooperation." It was a shock to America as this was what they feared: expansion of Soviet influence in South Asia. They feared that involvement of Soviet Union could sabotage their plan. On December 4th, just 1 day after Pakistan raided Indian airfields in Kashmir and Punjab, declaring war on India, America's proxy involvement in the war was becoming clear. thinking that the Soviet Union might enter the war if they come to know this, which could cause a lot of destruction to Pakistan and American equipment given to Pakistan. US Ambassador to the United Nations, George H.W. Bush, introduced a resolution in the UN Security Council calling for a ceasefire and the withdrawal of armed forces by India and Pakistan. Believing India can win the war and Indira Gandhi being determined to protect the interest of Bengalis, Soviet Union vetoed out the resolution, thus letting India fight for the cause. Nixon and Kissinger pressurized Soviets to a very extent, but luck did not support them.